Hello and welcome to the Wealth Hub podcast. I'm your host, Sharon Tumushabe, and I'm very excited today. We've been talking about insurance, investment, banking. Today, we're very privileged to talk about finance. So we're going to dive deep into how do we get access to financial services? How has it been in Uganda and within East Africa, Africa-wide? Why is it so hard to have these services available for everyday person? Is it technology? Is it the knowledge? Is it the governance? What is the issue? I am very excited because I'm hosting one of my favorite people, Barbara. You are welcome on the show.
Thanks, Sharon.
So Barbara is the head of business advisory at Uganda Development Bank. She used to work with Stanbic Bank. Mm-hmm. She loves charity. CSR has been her passion. She is a patron for Kaleke Kasome Foundation. I and Barbara have a lot in common, especially in helping young children and women to thrive. And that's, I think, one thing that has glued us. Why I say gluing, she is the chairperson of the Nyaka AIDS Foundation. And all those that know I'm the pioneer of Nyaka. Because when Jackson was starting Nyaka, he started with me. So I lost my dad, then Jackson started a foundation. It has helped thousands of children and they've all gone through school. And Barbara, I'm so proud of you.
Oh, thank
Being
you.
the chair of that board, it came as a surprise. But when I saw it, I was so happy for you.
Thank you very much,
And
Sharon.
thanks for the big heart. Introduce yourself.
Wow, Sharon, that was absolutely wonderful, the way you started. Before I actually introduce myself fully, I just want to say every morning I wake up, I make sure that my day starts with a purpose to help women find their voice and to help young people own this narrative. My name is Barbara Kasekende. My day job, I work with Uganda Development Bank. We're all about inspiring development for the livelihood of Ugandans so that we can have a better country to call our own. But really my essence of living is to ensure that youth and women drive the Ugandan narrative. What we see here today or every day is we talk about youth empowerment, we talk about women empowerment, but when you look at it, we don't actually see that journey moving. Yes, there are programs there to drive it, but we're not seeing it happening. And that is why I do what I do every day. And meeting women like you and so many other women in our realm, I know that we can actually change this narrative to ensure that women have a voice and youth own the narrative.
Let's talk about financial access from your experience. Where are the gaps?
Actually, before we even talk about the gaps, some statistics. You know, when you look at statistics, Financial Sector Deepening did something, I think, in around 2019, where they found out that when we talk about financial access, or let's say financial inclusion, 53% of the Ugandan population, which is 21 million Ugandans, access mobile money. They actually use mobile money for their daily transactions and so on and so forth. But only 10%, 10% of Ugandans own bank accounts.
Wow.
Now, that is just generically speaking. When we go down and talk about access to finance for enterprises, that is even a much sadder percentage. And you find that it's actually more men that get access to financing than women and youth. So coming back to your question, what are the challenges and what are the gaps? First and foremost, Sharon, education.
Education, that's why we're here now.
In our schools, we are not taught about money. You are taught about what banks do.
Canadian prairies.
Yeah, thank you. But we are not taught about why we need banks to support us personally, or we need bank services to support our businesses. So I leave school educated with 1,000 degrees in Uganda. We'll have to study. But I do not know how a bank can come and help me in my business or help me as an individual to grow. Now, for me, that is the first challenge. So now we are learning in Ibukuru, what they call adult learning.
Learning with experience.
You understand? When life has beaten you a bit. So you have that first challenge. The other challenge is, especially in our business space, almost 70% of our businesses are informal. Did you know that 64% of SMEs are owned by women and very few of them are formal?
Are banked.
Yes. And because of that, a lot of, and as you know, when people talk about formal, you are the tax money, it is expensive, URSB is expensive, manya UNBS
You need an accountant.
But you want to take your goods and services to Kenya.
Yeah.
You want to take your goods and services to Congo. But you're not willing. You're not willing to go through the to get you ready.
Yes.
To get you ready to access finance for your business to thrive. The other challenges we have, which you very well know, and for me this one is my big one, governance and succession.
Succession. Yes.
The business is mine. Whether I like it or not, the business is mine. Yes. I have started a business, Sharon Gojimanyi Kochi. What are you coming to tell me what I'm supposed to do or I'm not supposed to? It is not your money.
It's my
I did
money.
this alone.
Yeah.
You see?
Yeah.
And when you have that kind of mentality, this is where you have companies, and I'm going to say them, we all know them. You've heard of the Zimwes. You've heard of the Zikusokas. You've heard of the Sembures. And so on and so forth. How many strong companies were started and then along the way, we can't even talk about them.
The dream dies with the
You
founder.
understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So anything to do with governance, where you talk about, it is my company, you are the HR, you are the manager, you are the board chair, you are. You cannot cook and serve the tea and wash the dishes at the same time.
Yes.
Challenge. The other challenge that for me is very critical is the copycat syndrome.
I want to do exactly what my neighbor
Yes,
is doing. No
yes,
innovation.
yes.
No. Yes.
Thank you very much. So yes, we are termed to be one of the most entrepreneurial countries in the world. Ooh. But I don't celebrate because 90% of those enterprises die within their second year, you see? And the challenge here is, yes, some of those ideas are wonderful. Others are, oh, Sharon has started a podcast. Let me start one. I think I'll get $1,000 in my first month. Really? Yeah. And then you come to Uganda Development Bank for a loan. You can't even pay for it. Yeah. So these are some of the challenges that is facing our environment today. And when you look at, access to finance, especially for enterprises, going back, as you were asking, what are some of the challenges? Those are some of the challenges I can point out.
So if we get to challenges, especially for women and youth enterprises to access financial services today, what would be those two you feel are the most critical ones?
Right now, capacity building and financial literacy are very critical. Whether we like it or not, we need to understand that whole subject topic. We have to study it. A lot of the people who actually need this funding might not necessarily be in our areas where we are, in the city centers or in the urban areas. A lot of those people are in the rural areas. They need to understand, what does it mean to access finance? How will finance help me grow, as an institution or as a company or as a small enterprise? So education is key, Sharon.
Yes.
That is one. Now, when we talk about education, the second one that for me is a challenge that we heavily have to address is governance and succession. Like I said, we have a lot of good business ideas, but we do not know how to keep our businesses even after we die. When we think of a business, we think of a business as me. But Sharon, a business is an entity. It is an entity of its own. That is why it is a business governed by law. It is its own body.
Yes.
And so am I. So we are technically two different entities. But I am here to help the business thrive because I am solving a solution. Are we together?
Correct.
So for me, those two areas are absolutely critical. Governance and education. So if I understand how a business is run, and I understand matters around money, and I understand what I need to know to grow my business, and add in governance on how I should drive my business, what levels I need to make sure that my business thrives, and on top of that, I know how to make it last, any bank would come to me and want to work with me and would want to partner with me to ensure that my business thrives because I have done the homework as a business owner, whether I am a woman or a young person. And actually, when you talk about that, and I know you said 2 challenges, please let me just add one thing, especially to my young people. You are not entitled to get money. So when I hear young people saying things like, but there are grants, I'm like, yes. The same work you put in to get a loan in the bank is the same work you're going to put in to get a grant. Or because your dad is somebody, or because, I don't know, you went to some foundation and someone saw you. You know, it has nothing to do with the fact that you know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody. Have you put in the work?
Yes.
Do you understand what you have gotten into? That is one. Do you actually have a passion for it? Do you love it? But you have to be ready to do the work. You are not entitled to get that money. However, if you have done it the right way, to all my young people, let me tell you, I myself will come looking for you.
I like the serious look on you.
Yes, because you have done something that you believe in. Because the problem we have is you do something and you are entitled to receive this money. No, my dears, you are not entitled. However, it doesn't mean you can't come to a Barbara to support you to grow. If you don't understand the direction in which you're going in that type of business, you look for a Barbara, you look for a Sharon and say, Banang, moja munyambe, chika. Let me tell you, I cannot say no.
Yes.
Especially if I see that your heart is in the right place and you are solutioning. You are solutioning for the right problem and you have the right market.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And what can someone do, or let me rephrase the question. What can be done to ensure that women and youth get access to finance?
That one is my favorite.
Okay.
First things first, it has to start at government level, even at the policies, that are put in place. For anything to work and work really well, if leadership is not in line with what is happening on ground, it becomes very difficult to execute and implement. Now, already I know that government has started several programs, plus, government has its own investment bank, which is Uganda Development Bank, where I work, which we also have programs for women and youth. There's programs under the UN that are going through the Ministry of Gender. There's programs under World Bank as well for women. So at that level, work has started. But when we talk about youth and women, most of them, I will go back to the rural area because that's where most of them are at the moment. People look at you and I, yes, it's nice, though I'm not youth anymore. At 43, I think I've passed the bar of being youth, but I am a woman. However, I am an empowered woman. So if we are talking about access to finance, I'm now looking at Mama Wange, Masaka, and beyond, who has a small project but needs access to finance. Now, that has to start at clear community level. The community, the churches have to empower their people at that level. But even for community to do that, that is where things like, all these things that have come about, SACCOs, Obubondo, Manya, all those saving schemes and so on and so forth. Now, for all those things to work, if the church and community are not, when I say church, there's also the mosques and, the other religions that, they always bring people together. If all those arms are not working together, the drive to empower youth and women is not going to happen. Because remember, what is the one thing that collects most youth and women? A church. Or community, or community functions and events. So on and so forth, and events. So for me, empowering has to start at that level, okay? I also would like to call upon all the community leaders, whether you're in charge of a Kabondo, reach out to a Barbara and say, Madam Barbara, jango yogere n'abantu bange, so that they can understand what we need to know at that level. Because if at that community level someone is pushing it, those women will rally and learn. I have seen it. In fact, I've been training a bunch of people in Western Uganda in the cattle corridor. And guess what? It is not us who called them. It is their Bubondo that called them. Their cooperatives, their SACCOs, and so on and so forth.
So people are already organized.
Exactly.
Okay.
What they need to do now, especially to drive youth and women empowerment, is to call the right people in those places to empower through capacity building, through trainings, through hand-holding. These things are there. It's not rocket science. But the leaders have to be empowered enough to reach out. okay, to reach out. Now, the other thing is financial institutions. All financial institutions, and I think you've seen it, it started. Stanbic also has it, where we have non-financial interventions. I can't give you money when you do not know what money is. You know it,
Yes.
but you don't really know it.
Yes.
It comes in your pocket and you use it immediately. So financial institutions have to be down on ground to ensure that as much as I am giving you this money, you know what it can do for you. So non-financial interventions, Sharon, are very critical. I don't care if you're a microfinance, if you whatever tier in the finance sector you're in, whether you're insurance, if you do not have a non-financial intervention, then we are killing our market, because we have to teach first and then we empower them to grow. So for me, those are some of the things that I feel need to happen, but also things like what you're doing, you know, because then that means a Barbara who might also need this kind of help can be able to get it. But bottom line, things to do with money, things to do with all the challenges that people are facing, it starts with me. I need to train myself. I need to develop myself. But even the communities I'm in need to empower me. Last but not least, networks. Let me talk about networks here for a minute. Every organization cannot work in a silo. Banks have partners. Even us as a development bank where I work, we have partners. You have friends. We're friends.
Yes,
but if you look at it, it is a partnership of sorts, you know, because we help each other in a certain way. So the kind of relationships and networks that we create as business entities help us thrive. I might not necessarily need a financial intervention. Sometimes I just need Sharon's help, maybe, you know, to come and help me maybe drive my investments to a certain level, you know, and maybe I don't even need that loan to start off.
Correct.
The kind of networks, the kinds of partnerships that we do are the ones that actually drive us to the next level. In fact, I would put that as number one. So for all young people, even women that are listening, in your group, by the way, you're who you are because of the company you keep, just so you know. Bw'oba oli mwavu, abantu b'oli nabo bagobe. Bonna baavu. You're who you are because of the company you keep. So if you're moving in a certain direction, you want to be a doctor, why are you friends with, I don't know, give me an example, with someone in transportation? It's a good thing to have, but if you're looking to grow, you need people in your space, okay? And that for me is the starting point. So young people and us women, if you're the king or queen in your group, you are not thriving, babes. You need to move as soon as possible. So those would be a few points that I would put forward.
That.
Yes.
And when you talk about social circles and who is in your circle, I think for me, I've been privileged to have people that stand by me and tell me you're going to make it even when you don't see any ray of hope or light at the end of the tunnel. You're like, you're seeing darkness and you're like, but Barbara is saying it's going to work. So you need those people too, your morale boosters who are going to show you that, hey, look here, you're doing the right thing, keep pushing. And at times what you need is that faith and belief in yourself. It has worked for me. It has worked for me. When I'm looking at my friends or the people that I call mentors, I actually don't ask for financial support.
My point.
I'll actually go to get guidance. If you were me in my shoes, what would you do? Or these are the options I'm having. Can you just somebody that can help you think through your ideas? And when you look at me and my best of friends, most of the times we are together, we are actually looking at what's your challenge? What can you do about it? Yes, it can be financial once in a while, but in most cases, it's the thinking process around it. Most of these ideas or businesses that people start from a normal talk over chai or
You're right.
a cup of tea, and you talk about something, and then someone is like, and I'm that type. I'll tell you something, and then after I've talked about it, then I go back and work towards it. Before starting this podcast,
I hear you.
I only thought about this 3 months. Immediately I quit my job at Zeno, I asked myself.
Can't believe you did that.
I asked
That's
myself.
bold.
Yes,
That's really bold. I love it.
Vice president to hustling on the streets. It's not easy, but I knew my passion was education. I really wanted to continue with the financial literacy. And I said, okay, I had this company I had registered 6 years ago. We actually registered in the same year. Zeno and Legacy Hills were all were all registered in 2016. But I had to put that aside to go build a dream that somebody had. And I left at the point when the company was flying. Then I'm like, you know what? I still want to be that independent financial advisor that puts all the pieces together. I'd love to speak to someone, give them the options, and they choose what they want. And when I started, I said, okay, now. I tried actually. Before all this, I said, let me go on these streets and teach people. I found out that actually doing it one-on-one, you spend more money. It's expensive. It's hectic. It's frustrating because you'll talk to 10 people and get 1 or 0. So I said, then how about I do a podcast? I'm able to host people. We teach people about money, drive them to our website. That's Legacy Hills Investments. They talk to an advisor. They interact with your video. Like now, this audio will be out there. So if somebody listens to you, they're able to actually take action. They don't need to meet Sharon or Barbara. But through this financial literacy, where we meet them on their phones as they're watching a TikTok or YouTube, they're able to see and get this kind of information. So for me, it's passion. And I'm going to continue doing this.
I'm glad.
I'll hope to host you again.
I'll look forward to that.
Thank you for making it to the studios,
No,
Barbara.
very, very excited. But you see, your story is exactly why organizations will actually run to you and support you. You are doing something you love. You are a woman who actually quit her job. Most women, especially women with children, would not take that step because I am thinking of everything else that I have to do.
The bills.
But, yes, the bills and everything else as a woman, as a mother. But if you've done it, why should a mother or a woman struggle and stay in a job they don't enjoy, you know? And she's looked upon as somebody who's not delivering, yet she is, and she can easily take a bold step. So you're an inspiration to many. But it's people like you that make our jobs worthwhile. Because now I know if I'm to support women, there's a woman that took a bold step I can support, who will be supporting thousands. So definitely this journey has only begun. I will be here to support always.
Oh, thank you, Barbara. And to our listeners, hope you enjoyed this session with Barbara Kasekende. She's quite an amazing lady. She's holding hands for different entrepreneurs. She's a free spirit. You meet her, she'll give you her 10 minutes. She's just like me. You meet me, I'll give you my 10 minutes. I like to talk to young people about investments. I like to talk to the old about investment, insurance, and banking, because I believe if we are financially empowered, we'll make better decisions. And as we wrap up this podcast, I would love to thank you, our listeners that have tuned in today to listen to this lovely podcast that was about financial inclusion, financial access for women and youth. And we hope to see you next time. Bye for now.